Hi, this is Karen and Ted Meyer, and we just have a few questions for you. One is, does your research match your DNA? And if not, here's a few things to consider. Elder Eyring says, begin with prayer. He says it's easy to see that technology has advanced family history in ways that it would otherwise be impossible. I have learned that even the best technology can never be a substitute for revelation from heaven. This is a spiritual work, and the Lord directs it through His Holy Spirit. We use technology effectively when we are guided by the Holy Spirit. Pray for guidance. Those relatives do want to be remembered and found. In the Bible, Mark 11:24, it says, Therefore I say unto you, what things soever ye desire, when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them. So begin with prayer. There's no luck in genealogy. I thought you might appreciate this. The husband says, normally this project would require weeks of research and verification, but luckily there's an app for it. So luck is where preparation meets opportunity and is added to prayer. So we gather, discover, and connect, starting with prayer, plus our records, we create our tree, and then hopefully we get a match. DNA is in every fiber of our being. We do not require DNA tests to do genealogy. They certainly are not mandatory, but here are some facts to consider. What if it doesn't connect with all your hard work? So your prayer and your records, you get your tree created, and then it doesn't match with your genealogy, with your DNA. All the years you thought you were going up the correct branch. One of our friends said this: the definition of the millennium is waking up one morning and finding your sister was not the genealogist she purported to be. I don't want that to be me. We have always used Grandma's Pie, a BYU app that shows the pie chart percentage of your research to where your locations are. And it's very rewarding to see that your hard work paid off all these years and that your research matches your DNA. But what happens when it doesn't match? It's like you took a wrong turn in a search. It's devastating. Do I leave it and give up? Do I start over? Do I get really upset? At whom do I get really upset? So on the left, it shows your research has a certain percentage of nationalities, and then on the right, the DNA shows, oh, quite a different. What would you do? So if I delete back to where I have proper documentation, pride comes into play. You might think, I'll ruin the tree. It looks perfect right now. Or I'll have to print out another fan chart. Everyone will know I messed up. I put a lot of work into this. I'll let the next generation worry about fixing it. But I was back to Adam and Eve. Well, let's dispel that myth. Uh, Robert Gunderson, a renowned uh, genealogist and author for Ensign, said, every pedigree I have seen which attempts to bridge the gap between that time and the biblical pedigree appears to be based on questionable tradition or, at worst, plain fabrication. Generally, these pedigrees offer no evidence as to the origin of the information, and they cite a vague source. So resist the urge to ever say, I have my family back to my family tree back to Adam and Eve. And the reason is because in Caesar's conquest in 48 BC, The ancient accountings dictate that the troops of Caesar accidentally burned down the library during the siege of Alexandria, and so the Alexandria libraries were burned down in 48 BC. So what should I do if it doesn't match my research? You can answer this difficult question by asking yourself just 7 questions. Make a list and answer yes or no to these questions. Did I have a document for each record or date? Did I ever click on someone else's tree because it was easier? Did I click because it was already done for me? Did I click to see if the other family tree, which seemed to have all the information I needed, had valid sources? Were any of the documentations just assumptions? Did I justify a year or place just by saying, well, that seems to fit the puzzle? So there are some consequences. If you leave it, someone else will click on your tree and you'll lead them away from the truth, especially one that perpetuates the myth that we can actually document back to Adam and Eve. If you leave it, you will be doing the work for other people for whom you are not related. If you go back and keep it just what actually has documentations, that would be the honest thing to do. But I'm really upset. All that work. You're frustrated? Don't get mad. Get busy. With over 8 billion records at your fingertips now, what took you 20 years before to build will probably only take 3 days to recreate properly. You're one step ahead of the game. Some people would just try to blame the family tree they clicked on with sources from the family gossip. What good would that do? The adversary would want you to stop and walk away, but not you. Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and start over again. We are going to make mistakes, but none of us can become an expert in family history without first being a novice, says Thomas S. Monson. But Partner Access has come to the rescue. You can check to see how you're doing between your research and DNA just by checking this little area in Ancestry. They've begun to show gene mapping. So look at my tree. This is my research. Now look very carefully. Those little blue tags can be turned on in the Ancestry lab. All you have to do is look closer and click the yes to enable the feature in both My Tree tags and new and improved DNA matches. So look for those little blue people after you enable it. Seeing DNA matches that have descended from a common ancestor provides good evidence that I am genetically related to that ancestor. It sure feels good to match. View through lines through your ancestor through Ancestry at the bottom of the profile. When you click on it, you'll be able to see a cousin who has high amounts of centimorgans. The more centimorgans which are shared, which are strands of DNA, the closer the relation. So just think about the possibilities. Somewhere there's a mother who gave her child up for adoption in 1966. She's 84 years old and has the opportunity to meet a child if she wants to. She lets through lines match her DNA and sees if it will happen to match what she thought was true all these years. She may just get to see a picture of the daughter or son before she leaves this frail existence. Or how about this? You know an adoptee who has been searching all her lives. Now they can see what their families have the strongest of centimorgans. They don't even have to do anything about it if they don't want to. They can just sit back, watch Ancestry work their magic, and bring the family to them. And then it's their choice if they connect or not. Here's a prayer for genealogists. Lord, help me dig into the past and sift the sands of time, that I might find the roots that made this family tree of mine. Lord, help me trace the ancient roads on which my fathers trod, and led them through so many lands to find our present sod. Lord, help me find an ancient book, a dusty manuscript, that's safely hidden now away in some forgotten crypt. Lord, let it bridge the gap that haunts my soul when I can't find the missing link between some name that ends the same as mine. Thank you, Curtis Woods, for doing that for us. We have a testimony of this work. We experience miracles daily because of family history. The veil is very thin. You can get trained as a consultant. We're on YouTube, and you can call us anytime. We'll help you. Here's another place for information, our blog spot and our newsletter.